Folks, welcome. I'm back, and I've got some great news to tell you. Great news. And you'll love this. Do you remember, some of you may have been with us when we did the book of Daniel. And those who weren't, I'm going to tell you a little story. Daniel was captive in Babylon, and he had many prophetic experiences, let's say. I'm just going to share one with you because it's the longest. The king at that time, whose name you cannot probably pronounce, Nebuchadnezzar, or spell, you remember him because he was the king of Babylon. And that empire was the biggest at that time, the Babylonians. And so what happened is that he had a dream. And like most of us, he forgot it. But this was far more serious. He had all these soothsayers and whatever you call them, they know the future and so forth like that. And these guys were supposed to tell him what the dream was, but usually he would have a description for them, and then they would make something up because they didn't know the future. And anyway, so he was quite upset, and he said, "Okay, let's annihilate these guys. Let's get rid of them." And Daniel was just a young man and had just got there from Jerusalem, which was destroyed as a prisoner. But they wanted intelligent young people that would help them know the future. And Daniel, of course, went and pleaded and was given permission to seek his God and find out really what this Nebuchadnezzar had been dreaming about. And Nebuchadnezzar got quite excited when he heard that, and because he had gained faith in the God of Daniel. And so Daniel came back and he says, "God showed to me what your dream was, what the dream was." And he said, there was a statue that was a very tall statue, probably about 90 feet tall. And this statue was representative of different nations. The first nation on the top, and of course King Nebuchadnezzar loved this, was the golden kingdom, Babylon, the head of gold. Then the second one was the nation actually was two together, the Medes and the Persians, who actually got into Babylon through the Watergate, and they took over Babylon. So they were the second ones. The third ones came in from Greece. They were the most powerful nation, as these others had lost their power, and they became the most powerful nation in the world. And last but not least, you can guess, one that we know about the most, Rome. Probably had conquered all the world. And the legs that were shown on the statue, this huge statue, the legs were of iron. And this iron represented Rome, which was the Iron Kingdom. They used iron weapons and shields and so forth. So they were the conquerors at that time. But then this comes to an end slowly. You see, the feet are not pure iron. The feet are of clay. This and iron together, and that meant that the nation of Rome was not as strong before, because what happened is as Rome was losing its power, like all nations had, the tribes from outside of the nation that were all around, tribes, thousands of them. They came in and started attacking the nation of Rome. And Rome, I could say a lot about this, Rome tried to get along with them. Bad mistake. Tried to took some of their warriors and put them in as working with their soldiers. But here was something that could not be worked out. And then it says, he said to King Nebuchadnezzar, he said, "O king, then a large stone was cut out without hands and smashed that statue at its feet, and the statue fell down and crumbled into dust." So here we have a prophecy of all these nations that were world leaders, and they've passed away. So this is a prophecy, and there are some other prophecies in the book of Daniel that go with it that persons couldn't seem to understand. We understand it today, and I'll tell you why. Because we figured it out, and God has helped us. But these nations actually have expired. We don't see any of them today. We have, well, I will not go into that, but there are different nations that are even fighting against themselves now. But those nations which were more world nations are gone. So what we want to discover from this, and what was said from this, as this Daniel was up in age now, and they called him in to explain this another prophecy, and an angel had brought the prophecy. An angel had brought the message, and Daniel couldn't get it. Daniel tried to get it, he could not get it, so he could not explain it. And he asked God, but it seems that God didn't explain to him. But one thing he did get, and that was, this is it. This is the end. That's all you will understand for now. Close the books. Seal them. And they will only be understood or opened in the end of time. Now that's a long way. But many people today feel that we are in the end of time. That there is not much time, because Jesus says he was coming. And it didn't seem that it was that far ahead. So since the 1800s, 1840s, persons believed that Jesus was coming, and they were from all different nations and kingdoms and spiritual understandings and so forth, and they spread the message all over. But Jesus did not come. That means we're closer to his coming today. So that is what I want you to remember. What time we are in. We are in what is called the end of time. The last days, some call it. The days when Christ will come and set up his kingdom. That stone represented his kingdom. He's destroyed those kingdoms. Christ is going to set up his kingdom. And if we stay close to Jesus, we have him as our Savior. Don't go into the world and just party with the world. Realize that this is coming. Give your life and time to help people understand what Christ has done for them, and that they can be part of the last kingdom on earth, which is Christ's kingdom. Thank you for listening. Go look in the book of Daniel. You'll find some fascinating stuff there. And I hope you have a great day.